Hello people, I'm Sky Demolisher and welcome back to the second part of the Transformers War for Cybertron Let's Play. Today we'll be playing Fuel of War and we will be playing as Starscream as voted by you out there in the internet. At the end of this episode you'll be given the run through of who we can play in the next chapter, and you'll be able to vote on who that is on my Facebook and on my Twitter, which will be linked down below. So I hope you're all doing well, and we will launch into the second part of this game, which I hope that you all enjoy watching.
Anxious to prove themselves worthy of the Decepticon name, Starscream and his minions fly to Cybertron. There, they must reconnect the Energon bridge that will enable Megatron to manufacture more Dark Energon and conquer the Autobots once and for all.
Your orders are clear, Starscream. Infiltrate the Cybertron underground and reactivate the Energon bridge. I want that power online.
Megatron, Thundercracker has detected several Autobots up ahead. Jetfire must have warned Zeta Prime and moved to intercept us already.
Enough of your whining. If the Autobots try to stop you, crush them. Report back to me when you have found the bridge. Megatron out.
That imbecile thinks I'm expendable? Me? He'll soon learn never to underestimate Starscream.
Don't you just love that arrogance of Starscream? So as you can see, we're joined in this one by Thundercracker and Skywarp, who were our core team of Seekers. Someone's learned how to fly well, haven't they? Yeah. Good thing is he'll show up again later. Exactly when we need him. See before Thundercracker wasn't there, now he's back, flying behind me. So, in the first part I mentioned that the weapons in this are pretty much locked to shotgun. Don't want a shotgun. Locked to 3 weapons per character. So at the moment Starscream's got his Null Ray, his Scatter Blaster, but unlike the land-based Transformers, when he transforms he has a machine gun and rockets. Most of the land-based vehicles only have 1 vehicle weapon, not 2.
We should avoid it to prevent detection.
Like that puny probe could stop me. Get on with it!
I mean, you have to love the lighting in this, don't you?
You're as boring as ever, Thundercracker.
And just how interesting things are in this, you know. I love the colours in this.
Weapon, ready to rumble! What is this? Some kind of auto? Stupid Autobots! To think their measly tricks could ever fool Starscream!
So it's great that they kept that arrogance in the character, because he was so well known for it in the first TV series, or virtually every TV series. Load the batteries. See, that line, it makes me think of the original Transformers film, the very first film. And you'll have to excuse the voice, because I can't do a Starscream voice properly, but you know, when he's chasing Springer and RC through Autobot City, and he's like, "Pathetic fools, there's no escape," and proceeds to get his foot stuck in the transforming Autobot City as it moves to its battle station.
Autobots, this is Zeta Prime. Be on high alert. The Decepticons are planning to reactivate the Energon Bridge. This would grant them access to an unstable energy source powerful enough to jeopardize the entire planet. Any Decepticon activity must be reported immediately, and all Decepticons are to be shot on sight. Zeta Prime out.
How boring! I bring more entertaining maintenance reports. Alert! Alert!
Focus your fire on the Decepticon!
So, unlike in Generation 1, where the first Prime that we know of is Optimus, and in the comics we later learn that he got or at least in the comic book series, he gets the matrix of leadership off Sentinel Prime, who originally is nothing more than an arm.
The answer is here somewhere.
What's this? Yeah, another shotgun. In this game, the leader of the Autobots is
Now!
Zeta Prime.
The best to destroy Autobots with. I would prefer a solution sometime today.
You're the brainy one, Thundercracker. You figure it out. Of course.
Of course, in the original TV series, the first person that we know carrying the matrix of leadership is actually Alpha Trion, although Alpha Trion isn't a Prime, at least not in name. And like Transformers animated series, we actually have a character named Sentinel Prime, who's of the dynasty of Primes, but isn't actually the leader of the Autobots, who I think in that was actually Ultra Magnus.
Quickly, get to cover.
So it's been a while. It was a good TV series though, and it brought back Omega Supreme, who you might have actually picked up was at the was in the opening film of the first episode of this.
No one is as fast as Starscream. Initiating weapon.
Of course, he looks a little different.
Complete. Another one.
I have to say, you're a decent shot.
You know, because in the original TV series, Omega was a spaceship and a tank, and as a toy, he had a like a track that he would roll around. I never owned the original figure. I actually don't own any of the Omega Supreme type figures. I only knew one person as a kid that actually had him, but all they had of him was his rocket, not the not the tank part or anything like that.
Decepticons, seal the door! Cooling cycle complete!
Those punks locked us out!
Stop whining and find another way in!
And I think had Animated actually created an Omega, he would have sold pretty well. Of course, in Animated, he was
We're not where we
the Autobot ship, the Ark.
so keep moving!
Now, I'm not. It's been a long time, so I can't actually remember whether or not they knew he was capable of transforming from the Ark to Omega Supreme or not.
It can't be that bad.
I vaguely think they didn't know. But anyway, in this I actually really appreciate that they added in a hover mode for the Seekers. Well, virtually all the flying Transformers in this, because you do get to play as aerial bots in the Autobot campaign. They have their hover mode, and they've got like the actual jet mode. And of course, they give you the bumper button abilities here to like barrel roll. I can't say it's really something that turrets on the wall. Too busy waffling to notice there was turrets on the wall. I enjoy having that hover mode. Yeah. And I mean, it's handy having the barrel roll, although I hardly ever used it.
The next entrance is just on the far side of this canyon.
Don't you love Cybertronian technology? Just the look of that. Isn't that cool?
That Autobot ship is generating an energy shield over the entrance.
I can see that for myself, Thundercracker. Enough babbling. Destroy it.
Target the motors first.
I mean, if you had a commander that sort of treated you like that, would you really want to fight for him? I guess in its own way that sort of explains why Thundercracker and Skywalk were, more than happy to not protect Starscream. Just let him get into his own trouble. And I enjoyed that these games, they didn't really,
Now target the aerial bots.
I'll show them some real flying.
limit
Here comes another wave.
the characters. Like, the
Reinforcements.
original TV series. We'll need to clear these guys out first. To set, military vehicles and flying vehicles were Decepticons,
The blast doors are open.
and
Watch out for those rockets.
land-based vehicles
Of this nonsense.
and sort of passive workers were the Autobots.
Target its power core.
Which of course, it tied into the history of the cartoon at that time. You know, instead of being created by Primus, they were created by the Quintessence. And Autobots were the workers, and the Decepticons were the military.
Idiots locked us in here with their power core. Plant a dipnut on it.
But of course, in this, you know,
Decepticons inbound.
oop, that was a bad whiff, that one.
Initiating weapon cooling.
In this, you know, they haven't limited the race to say, like, you know, all Autobots have to be land vehicles sort of thing. So you do have Seekers.
Unbelievable! These Autobots are dumber than Skywarn.
Perhaps, Starscream. But have you considered an escape route for us?
Try the upper deck. Hurry! Now's our chance. Fly through the hole.
Dumber than Skywarp? I'll show you dumb.
You know, I am almost entirely certain that that is the same voice actor for Barto in Ghost of the Shell standalone complex. And I believe the original Ghost in the Shell films too.
Did you see that? You mean that creepy looking thing that just jumped over the side? Yeah. Nope, I didn't see anything.
I should have left you two on the station.
So, those are cloakers.
Silence! It could be an Autobot cloaker. Keep your optics sharp. There! Destroy it!
So, one of the things that gives away a cloaker is their weapon, because you'll see that glow as it starts to power up. And the other thing that gives them away, if I can find one, there, is that shimmer. I don't know how well it will show up in this, but they distort what's in front of, you know, they distort the light, so you can pick them up because of that, if they're not arming their weapon at the time. They're not particularly strong enemies or anything,
Get the power back online so we can move on. Get moving.
but they are certainly a
Getting close.
pain to deal with.
Another shield generator? These Autobots are getting on my nerves. Bring down those shields. Rockets away! Recharging E-tanks! Weapon cooling complete!
You think you can ride the skies?
For glory!
I certainly prefer the null ray in Starscream. Yeah, not just because in the original series he actually had a null ray. I'll just swap to the rocket launcher. So the handy thing with this is once it's locked, you no longer actually have to look at them to get the missile to fire. As long as you get that lock, yeah, the rocket will go towards what you shoot at. I don't know why that one is just... That one seems to be extremely good at just having rockets fly through it. so obviously it's not registering properly.
Perfectly executed, of course.
And again, that last one that I shot has a long range ray like I'm using at the moment. And like I mentioned in the first episode, so it's actually part of the arm, not a separate weapon. But it's kind of funny because they didn't actually extend that to the toys. There's another ray shield.
Initiating weapon!
The battery casing is opening!
Now you're talking. Weapons ready. Cybertrons cannot be stopped.
And of course, like vehicle wise, much later we had like the expansion of characters
The shield batteries are
in the original series.
Destroy them, we can lower the shield.
Yeah, oh sure. Sort of hoping I can find an ammo reload around here somewhere. Not that it's too important. You know, the vehicle mode. For these guys, unlimited ammo anyway.
Watch out, they're firing rockets! Energon stores rerouting to weapons!
Look out for those sentries, you bum idiots!
So it was really neat that they incorporated like the Autobot insignia into that.
Gives me the creeps.
These tunnels were decommissioned long ago. We'll have to activate the power terminals to get the station back.
Incoming! Take cover!
Well, also like that they
Weaponry? Interesting. I've never seen these life
yeah,
forms.
they've added in extra life forms to Cybertron,
Hey, blast them!
which, as far as I'm aware, didn't exist in the original series. Although in Beast Machines, which actually never, as far as I'm aware, never came to New Zealand, at least for our television, they introduced the idea that Cybertron was originally an organic planet. Which doesn't really fit that well now, considering that, you know, Cybertron now is known to be Primus, the actual creator of the Transformers.
There, just as I told you. The Energon Bridge terminal.
Brother to
Find a way
Unicron,
inside and
who you
activate
see in the original film.
I thought this place was deserted!
I think the live-action film series has hinted at the existence of Unicron. But hasn't actually made him an actual known character. Which would have been interesting, I think. You know, I think it would have been interesting to see Unicron and Primus, but I guess logistically speaking, that adds in that sort of how could they do it side of things. You know, it's not that I really had an issue with the Michael Bay Transformers, but you know, they certainly weren't going to win any like beauty awards sort of things. You know, I remember how many people weren't really keen on Optimus Prime having kind of like a beaky face. Like he did in the films. And of course, you know, it was sort of weird to have Optimus having his, like, you know, removable faceplate. Because of course in the original series, he never, you know, he never opens up that face grill. And then newer series, of course, have taken up the mouth visor that can, or mouth guard that can be put up and put down as required. I mean, given that, you know, in the original series, Optimus came from Orion Pax. You know, Orion didn't have a mouthguard either. It's not till he actually became Optimus that he's given that faceplate.
So 50%. There must be another terminal deeper underground.
So it was certainly interesting to add in other organic creatures to Cybertron.
Afraid to take them head on, Skywalk? I am ready to lead. For glory!
I have to say, you're a decent shot.
I'm the deadliest seeker in the sky!
So they carried on that arrogance that he has. He's the best. He's the only one. And of course he still retains that that hunger to become the leader of the Decepticons.
Nice and close.
Not that he ever really succeeded in that, you know. I mean, he does for a time in the film, the original film. I mean, I suppose he does for the live action one too, but we don't really see much of him in the live action films as leader, which we did. Well, I suppose we don't really see him for very long either. In the animated film, you know. It's only really a short time until he meets his fate with Galvatron.
Incoming rocket attack.
So, I always enjoyed that as an option, you know, much like in the G1 film, you know, used their own defenses against them, which really was quite a brilliant idea on Megatron's part. Pick those up. I'm not really a fan of EMP grenades because they use a stun effect, and I'm much more somebody that enjoyed the like concussive weapons.
This station seems to funnel power directly to the energy.
But this game has three varieties: the EMP stun grenades, like I've got now.
Silence, fool! We need to supply these side terminals with their energon power.
The healing grenades, which I don't think have been seen yet, and the concussive grenades, which I used in the first episode.
The Autobots have booby-trapped this room. Fools!
Wait, are you calling us Autobots fools? Because I'm not respect me.
Now,
Silence!
a valuable lesson is following these lines will help you figure out where the power terminal is that you need to cut. If they were yellow, you know, you could make that joke from The Wizard of Oz, you know, to follow the yellow brick road. But of course, they're not yellow in this, so, and they're not a road.
Almost too easy. Quickly, find the other power terminals.
But once you know to follow these lines to their end, it makes it a lot easier.
Now, get these power cells into position.
The side terminals are showing power levels of maximum.
We are but one click away from activating the full power of the Energon Bridge. Look at all that power flowing! Onward, Decepticons!
And of course, he has to take all of the credit for what's happening.
I am detecting an unknown energy signature nearby. Off the
Oops. So you notice the difference now compared to earlier? Earlier the station was very, very dark. And now, after power's been restored, it's actually a lot more well lit up.
Dark Energon jetpack on its power cable to activate it. Indicate that I've had enough of your readings. Use Dark Energon and corrupt the machine.
So, in the TV series, that sort of thing always bit Starscream on the arse, because he would arrogantly go ahead with whatever he was doing when he should have listened to Thundercracker or Skywalk. So, have a guess what's about to happen.
Whoa! What's... Precisely what I was afraid of. Cybertron is trying to purge itself of contamination.
What contamination?
He means us, you idiot. Quit blabbing and destroy this nuisance.
So, if you do get this game yourself, a handy thing for people to remember while playing this particular stage is these little things here eventually become boxes that sometimes hold ammo or health.
Evade those beams.
Move, move, move!
And I mean, it is important to sort of follow those instructions, you know, to evade those beams.
The machine is vulnerable.
But you won't be instantly killed if you do get caught in them. So, you know, you don't need to panic or anything.
Are we even hurting this thing?
Not with your pathetic aim. Focus fire on those guns.
There's something wrong with the beam.
He's not so tough.
See how they've become boxes? Which way is it going? That way. So,
Scream! What is taking so long?
that's just passed through me. It didn't do a hell of a lot of damage. It,
Do not disappoint me.
yeah, I think if you're playing it in like the hardest difficulty, it does do a lot more damage. Because the game has 3 difficulties.
What is it doing now?
Who cares? Just be ready for it.
Evasive maneuvers.
So it started to go a little haywire. And that's because it's been corrupted. Or is in the process of corrupting, I should say. Remember in the first episode, Megatron, or maybe it was Starscream, makes a comment about how it corrupts everything. Oop. And of course in later series it's pointed out that Dark Energon is actually from Unicron. Oop. That wasn't so good. Ah yeah, this one's got one. See? A little bit of health.
Something's happening!
Yes! It's crumbling before the might of Starscream! To the surface, Decepticons!
The machine is out of control!
It must be a side effect of the Dark Energon!
I'm sorry if this is a bit motion sickness starting for some people.
We've done it! The Energon Bridge is activating!
Incredible. The Energon Bridge is active once more.
Quiet! You're ruining my moment of glory! Soon, my orbital station will be at full power!
Your orbital station, Starscream. Surely you mean mine. I see you have finally succeeded in the simple task I gave you. Perhaps you're not as worthless as I thought. Report back to base at once.
All systems online. Dark Energon, manufacturing at optimal efficiency.
Now I can introduce Dark Energon into the planet's core. And as it spreads throughout Cybertron, my power shall travel with it.
Entrance to the planet core is heavily shielded behind the Omega Gate.
I will acquire the key. We launch a full-scale assault on Iacon immediately. And wipe Zeta Prime and his pathetic Autobots off the face of the planet.
And with that, that is the end of that episode. So the next episode is called Iacon Destroyed, and the options of characters that we can play are Megatron, Soundwave, or Breakdown. Now, Soundwave is the only one that actually starts with two weapons in his robot mode. As you can see, the Neutron Assault Rifle and the Energon Repair Ray. Whereas Breakdown and Megatron only start with one weapon. And then their second weapon you just gain during the game. So you'll have the option to vote either on Facebook or on Twitter. As I said, I'll leave links below to those pages for you, and you can vote as to who you want me to play as for the next chapter. And then every chapter afterwards you'll be given the option to vote for who you would like to see me play as. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode of War for Cybertron. Please like and subscribe. Maybe share it with your friends if you think they'll like it too. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye.